Ladies and gentlemen, you know what it is. New week, new video. It's your boy Ruben and Cowboys fans. Sorry I missed Victory Monday, but it's definitely a happy Tuesday. Before I get into it, remember to like, subscribe, share, hit the bell so you can check out the next video. But you know how this one came to be? You know what this video is going to be about. If you're a Giants fan, I'm sorry. You might want to cover your ears, close your eyes. But this is something I've kind of predicted. Not necessarily this big an ass whipping. But I did tell Giants fans, I've been beating the drum before I get into the Cowboys stuff, that you guys made a huge mistake making Daniel Jones a $160 million man and telling Saquon Barkley, nah, just sign this franchise tag. I told you guys you were going to fracture the team and the team was going to start to fray starting day one when you play the Cowboys and get your ass whipped on Sunday night. Now, with that being said, let's get back to them boys. And what can I say? So let's start with the good before I tell you some of the concerning things or things, just observations, right? Now, it's hard to watch this game Sunday night and not go, we're going to the damn Super Bowl. Like, it's taking everything in me to not make that declaration. In a large part because I don't want to overreact to one game. And yes, it was the Giants. And no, I don't think the Giants are that great. Although I will say there was a small part of me that was a little bit nervous because I have a lot of respect for Brian Daboll as a head coach. And, you start thinking, what if Daniel Jones does get better? What if Saquon Barkley is Saquon? What if this old line that they've invested draft picks in by, getting a solid left tackle in Andrew Thomas and they drafted Evan Neal last year at the, basically booking the tackles. What if, their defense that does actually have talent on it, shows out a little bit. And they managed to throw Isaiah Simmons, and if you've been watching, that guy was my draft crush. Like, what if all these things just happen to come together and create the perfect storm and Dallas, who hasn't played their starters in the preseason, comes out flat, right? Those questions come to mind, but at the end of the day, we whooped the Giants' ass like 11 straight times coming into it, so I had zero doubt they were going to do it. But there's always the what if, it's the first game, it's the first game, maybe you come out flat. That was a small concern of mine. And it started to make me roll my eyes from the beginning because if there was a weakness on this team, is something I stated all last year, is we can be run on, right? What I appreciate about the way we lost last season was for the last 2 seasons in a row, we lost to the San Francisco 49ers. And both times we were embarrassed, particularly how the game ended. And why I was afraid of the San Francisco 49ers is because of 2 things. Obviously, they're the class of the NFC for the most part. But they're also one of the best running teams to go with that defense in the league. And they literally are built to exploit the weaknesses we have. So how did we respond? It clearly was something that was on our mind in the offseason. We went ahead and drafted Mozzie Smith. We went ahead and re-signed Jonathan Hankins with the idea that we were going to beef up the middle. And there was a clear emphasis on we're going to be tougher and we're not going to allow the same weaknesses to do us in. Because the other weakness was at the corner position where we had a revolving door of Alex Brown, Jordan Lewis, just a plethora of guys that just weren't getting it done. And we filled that position with a future Hall of Famer and former Defensive Player of the Year, Stephon Gilmore. I think that one acquisition in Stephon Gilmore has transformed this defense and put us over the top. We were already a good defense, but now you have to double, triple check where you're throwing that ball. And while you're trying to figure out, should I really pull that trigger at ball hawk Trayvon Diggs or, solid Hall of Fame corner Stephon Gilmore, Michael Parsons is coming for that ass. DeMarcus Lawrence is coming, right? Now, it was a near flawless performance by the defense. But it's time to kind of get into some of the, I don't want to say negatives, just some things I'm concerned about. Because all the positives were all defense. Like, you want to talk about a total drumming by the defense, and to include even special teams, because it starts out with a blocked field goal that we took to the house, and then it was off to the races. The problem I had was, for all that focus on stopping the run defense, that first series, we didn't do a very good job of doing it. The Giants marched right down the field, and I was thinking, oh my God, like, is Mozzie Smith even out there? What is happening? This was literally a point of emphasis. How are we letting the Giants run right down our throats all the way down the field? And it was looking bleak. I hated the way we started, but we managed to, I believe that once it got to the goal line, there was a false start, and then a sack, and then the blocked field goal, and then it was like it woke us up. I feel like we were gonna come out flat until that happened, and it kind of woke us up. Sometimes a punch in the mouth will do it for you, right? So I don't have any complaints on the defense outside of that first drive, but offensively, I don't want to say I didn't like anything I saw, because obviously we won 40-0, but there were things I saw that were very concerning to me. And obviously this is a side of the ball that could cost us the Super Bowl, because those are what our aspirations are. And a lot of people want to say, you know what, Dak's the issue, and that's partly true. Okay, like we're gonna go as far as basically Dak can carry the team to go. And the reason I'm kind of pausing and thinking about it is, so the concerning thing is, in the offseason, the emphasis was we went ahead and got rid of Kellen Moore, and the emphasis was to focus more on the run game. We also lost Zeke, right? However, Tony Pollard was coming off an ankle injury. He had surgery in the offseason. And so, which leads me to concerning part number two. Well, number one is Dak, and I'm going to finish with Dak in a second. But Tony Pollard, I didn't feel, while he had a good game, I didn't quite necessarily, I liked this in between the running game. He ran with power, but I didn't quite see the explosiveness. There was a couple times I felt like Pollard probably houses a couple of these runs last year. Now, it's week one. I know he's done a lot of rehabbing. Maybe he's not quite in the explosive old Tony Pollard shape, but hopefully that happens sooner than later. It didn't really matter in this particular game. So that's just something I wanted to keep an eye on. I don't know if anybody saw that, but he didn't just quite look like he had the burst that we're used to seeing from last year. Hopefully he'll snap back into that. The second thing is Dak. The emphasis was we're going to run the ball and cut down on turnovers. I worried that Dak got too much in his head, because Dak missed quite a few throws, and while there was a huge downpour, it was basically a monsoon out there in the northern region. I felt like all the talk about the interceptions might have gotten in Dak's head, because a lot of the passes he threw, if you're watching them, he missed them all high. He didn't dirt really too many balls. He missed a lot of them high. There was a CeeDee Lamb throw, I believe, that would have been a touchdown that he missed high. He started off with a throw to Brandon Cooks that he missed high as well. That at first I didn't think anything of, because Brandon Cooks is a small guy, so maybe there wasn't that kind of wavelength yet, in terms of that muscle memory of how low you have to throw to Brandon Cooks. But I felt like he missed all the throws high, and the reason I'm bringing that up is because it looked to me like, instead of driving the ball and throwing the strike, he was trying to be too safe, which led to him throwing the ball too high. You guys let me know what you guys think. That's what I feel like I saw. So the combination of the interceptions are in his head, and I'm not quite sure he has a receiver that he trusts. Last year it was definitely Dalton Schultz, right? And I know you guys are going to be like, well, Ruben, he likes CeeDee Lamb. Do you guys really feel that? Like, CeeDee Lamb's producing, he's a good player, but do you feel like a wavelength? Like, remember how he looked with Amari Cooper? It seemed like they knew what each other were going to do. They had a good kind of chemistry and synergy, right? I don't quite feel that with CeeDee Lamb, right? It's sort of like CeeDee Lamb does his thing and Dak hits him when he's open, but it doesn't quite feel like they have that unconscious connection, right? That maybe he had with like an Amari Cooper. I started to kind of feel like, okay, it looks like Brandon Cooks might be that guy that seems to trust, going in the middle of the field and whatnot. And the tight ends, although some of them were high shots, they got to do better. They got to do better. They got to do better. I wish we would have been able to see Schoonmaker. I don't remember really seeing him. I don't think he registered on the stat sheet at all. But Hendershot and Ferguson both dropped passes, although some of them weren't the greatest passes. That's where I'm at. The offense didn't look crisp at all. I want to see more from the offense. I hope to see more explosive plays from Tony Pollard. I was worried about Mike McCarthy taking over the play calling and what that was going to mean when he said he wanted to run the ball more. But I actually liked the way he did it. You could kind of tell Dak wasn't quite getting in a rhythm, and you could tell he was like, all right, well, we're going to run the ball over and over and over again. You saw Rico Dowdle get in there, spelling Tony Pollard, and then in the end, you saw Deuce Vaughn. That's also why I think when it was 30-0, they were still playing Dak Prescott because they wanted to have something positive to go into the next week because the offense just didn't quite seem like it was clicking on all cylinders. Those are my only concerns. But I got to tell you guys, I feel really good about this year. And it doesn't have anything to do with just with this game, right? It's just a feeling you kind of get. And if you've been following me, you know I'm also a Jaguar fan, but another team that I rarely talk about that I was a big fan of was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, for quite some time in the early 2000s, always had a good defense with Warren Sapp. And then I remember when they added Simeon Rice, and it was like, man, they're going to make some noise or whatever. But they were always looking for a piece here and there that kind of put him over the top. And I felt like they got that. And he wasn't a superstar, but I felt like once they settled in with Shelton Quarles at middle linebacker, it really took them and put them over the top. And so the rest of it, he's kind of what I would consider a glue guy. He was that guy that was racking up hundreds of tackles. And allowing a lot of the superstars to do what they do. It brought out the best of Derek Brooks. It brought out the best of, Warren Sapp, Simeon Rice, John Lynch, Rondé Barber. Sometimes, you get that one guy that kind of solidifies everything for you. And I felt like Shelton Quarles was that for the Buccaneers back in the day. And then they went on that run for, the 2002 Bucks. I just meant specifically for the defense. And so in this instance, I feel like Stephon Gilmore was that guy. Keep in mind, Donovan Wilson didn't even play this game, guys. We are going to be deadly on defense. Injury guys, come on. Don't play around this year, all right? Well, anyway, that's all I got. Remember to like, subscribe, share. Like I said, I'll be checking out the comments. I love to interact with you guys. So let me know what you think. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Stay tuned for the next video. Peace.